Hey, everybody. So great to see you here today. It is episode, 37? Wow, episode 37 of Barsha. Yes, it is. And we will be getting started soon with our amazing guest today. Share with the world. Share with your followers. Hit the two little white lines and share. I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. And we're going to be getting started right away with my beautiful guest for today, Inspiral. I'm so glad everybody's been here week after week. Look at people coming in. There's Charlotte. There's Martha Barsha, of course, my mother. And look at this heroic music we have. It's amazing. All right. I'm going to put in our little Amy Jordan's website in the fortune cookie. If anybody wants to take a look while we're talking, please feel free to hit the link in the fortune cookie, and you'll be able to go to this incredible website, which will inspire you to no degree. To no ends? To a lot of degree? I don't know. I am so excited. Look what time it is. It is 5 o'clock. What does that mean? It is time for Barsha, episode 37, The Broadway Buddhist, with my special guest, Amy Jordan. Amy Jordan, I'd like to bring you on camera just for you to listen to the song that I have especially for you. Here's Amy Jordan. Amy! Okay. Where do you go on Mondays when you want to have fun? Where can you go on Mondays when your day is done? Well, Fireside Chat is where it's at. Our guests are all the best. Who do we have today? No, it isn't Flash Gordon, and it's not James Corden. It's Amy Jordan. Help me in welcoming Amy Jordan.
Wow.
People are clapping.
Hands, man.
I had to find rhymes. That's pretty good. Flash Gordon, James Corden.
Amazing.
Okay. I want to give you the proper welcome you deserve. This is an incredibly inspirational person that I've known for some years. She's an award-winning author. She wrote Dance Because You Can, and her work is focused on transforming trauma to triumph and living in resilience and victory. She has a movement. She has Amy's Victory Dance, which is a company she's going to talk about, and a movie. That's actually the movie title. The name of the company that she has is, Amy, tell us.
The Victory Dance Project.
The Victory Dance Project. But Brian Thomas directed a documentary about Amy, and I watched it a couple days ago. You can get it on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, iTunes, Google Play, and Vudu. And he has worked with everybody, this guy, Brian Thomas, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Liza Minnelli, Paula Abdul, Pink. And he chose Amy as his documentary subject. Also, I want to say, as we talk to Amy, she's going to tell us about her life in a way that is very palatable, but it was very intense. Please give me a hand and welcome Amy Jordan. Okay, Amy.
You're the best.
Amy, okay, so you had a documentary about your life. For those of you that don't know what happened to Amy, would you mind telling us what happened on that day?
No, I would not mind. Yes, I'm happy to share. I'm trying to figure out which day. There's a few days.
The big day.
Which day you're talking about. So I was a dancer for a long time and turn my phone off so I don't get interrupted. I was living in New York City my whole adult life, and I was crossing the street on May 1st, 2009, heading back to my office. And 1 minute I was in the crosswalk, and the next minute I was on the pavement, and I had no idea what happened. It was like that, right? Your life can change like that. And I couldn't move and had no feeling on my right side. And I thought, oi, this is not, well, it's probably not what I thought, but I thought this is bad. And I started chanting Namyo Renge Kyo because I didn't know what else to do, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And I found out moments later that I'd been hit and was stuck under the tire of a 15-ton New York City express bus.
Ah!
Yeah.
And so what I love is your next thought after that you tell people, and I heard you say it on the Tamron Hall show too. I'm just so honored that you're here because you've been doing these great talk shows. Tell us what you said next about that's your spirit of victory. Go ahead.
So, I've been dancing my entire life, and my first thought, I didn't know what was happening, but I knew it was bad, and I couldn't move. And I thought, I'll never dance again. It's over. We're done. It's done. And then I thought, if I survive, there'll be a victory dance because, we're ingrained to pull victory out of everything. So I was also hallucinating, but that from the moment go was
that's amazing. Psyche. Now, look, you've told that story a lot of times. Yeah, thank you for the applause, everybody. With you, a New York City bus.
Don't try this at home, kids. Don't do it. Do as I say, not as I do.
Right. So here's a person who's been chanting Namyo Renge Kyo for how many years, would you say? At that time?
Point, 10, now 23 and a half.
Okay. And we're going to explain how Buddhism goes with her life. And this is the one place that we feel really good about doing it because we don't want anyone to feel like we're proselytizing ourselves, but it's such an incredible tool. Now you're laying there with this bus on you, which you didn't realize until the paramedic said, we're going to get this bus off you. And I also saw in your movie that they said that you were chanting Namyo Renge Kyo, and they said, are you hallucinating?
In the ambulance. They got me in the ambulance, and I have this weird thing where I don't like my feet to be covered. It's weird. Even in the winter time, I need my feet outside of the blanket. So I was like, get my feet out of the blanket, and then it's random what you remember. They put the collar because they didn't know if I had spinal cord damage at that point. And I started chanting because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what was happening. I'm in this ambulance. These guys were very sweet. And the guy, literally the EMT, was like, are you okay? Are you hallucinating? I said, no, I'm chanting Namyo Renge Kyo. I have to and I just kept saying Victory Tokyo, wanted to go. SGI International Headquarters are in Tokyo. So I catapulted myself into dancing for SGI Tokyo in the ambulance. And
okay, I want to get into this whole thing, but I do want to show people the trailer. The trailer for this movie is so beautiful. I love it so much. Here it is, Amy's Victory Dance, the documentary about Amy.
I think Amy is one of the most inspiring people, if not the most inspiring person that I have ever met.
Most people wouldn't be able to walk.
If something happened to you today and you couldn't dance tomorrow, how would you dance right now?
To have another severe impairment on top of that is not fair.
Couldn't move, and then the paramedics came, and we're gonna get you out from under this bus. It's like, bus.
I was not sure she would be back walking again. I'm not sure I ever gave thought to back dancing again.
you know, if I live, we'll do our victory dance.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank Brian. He's a genius and visionary.
Now,
So helpful.
I've watched the whole movie. I want to ask questions. I asked you beforehand what you're comfortable talking about, and you're such an incredibly amazing person. I want everybody to know how you came into this with another medical condition before this ever happened. So take us back to your childhood and tell us.
Yeah. I had a whole New York Times bestseller going on before I made love to the Tower of a Bus. So this is how I roll. Go big or go home, kids. So I've been It's funny now. It was not funny then. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 1974. I was small, and it was a lot different back then. There was no social media, there was no carb counting, there wasn't even a blood tester. Forget about the continuous monitor. So in those days, there was really no information. There was no support system. My parents chose denial, and then being a dancer and wanting to weigh 98 pounds caught up with me in my early 20s, and I had visual complications. We're still in the early 90s, right? So this was still before, I mean, I had to pee in a cup. You couldn't even test your sugar. So it's hard for people to fathom now, because you can just go on Instagram. There's lots of people, and you can get support, and they can answer. Not at all.
Right.
So I had already had 40 surgeries on my eyes. I lost all of one. The left is completely blind, and the right, I have 25 tunnel vision, so I have no peripheral. So I see clearly. I can see your beautiful face. I love your glasses. And I love this. Every time I see your picture on the social media, like, it's just like, Deborah!
I feel the same about
you. So I already was managing a difficult chronic condition I've had for 49 and a half years. Thank you very much. I'm healthier than ever. A lot of help and a lot of resilience and a lot of discipline. So, part of my move back to New York from Los Angeles, where I had gone to pursue a commercial career and had to retire early before that even happened, was because I can't drive. So in New York, that obstacle was alleviated, and I could just be a normal human.
Right. So there you are. And your father's in the documentary. I need to say I love your father just from the small two things I saw. One is him saying, drying his tears about the fact that you already were impaired and now you're impaired in a different way. And the other one, I have to say, the most beautiful image was your father in the audience waiting for the victory dance to start, and no one's in the audience yet. So he came first in the audience. Oh, I loved that scene. So here you go. Did the doctors say to you, you're going to lose your leg?
Yes and no. So I was taken to a city hospital, which had a level 1 trauma emergency, which was close to the accident site.
Right.
And they were great in emergency. They did all the right things. They got me stable. I didn't know what was going on. I'm asking the nurse, is my leg still attached? I'm like, x-rays, this and that. The pain's setting in, a lot of drugs. So they had me there for about 10 days, and they basically, I write in the book how they just, there's this line in the book how I was like the quintessential redheaded stepchild that nobody knew what to do with. Like, what do we do with her? They were just out of their scope of practice. And, there's that now famous story of how the surgical resident came in and they want to amputate my whole leg above the knee. And I have the utmost respect for medical professionals and what they go through to get there and all of that. But also, it's such a lesson in trusting your life, which is what we learn, right? As esoteric Buddhists, like, ultimately, we already know. And having had a background in dance and I was teaching commercial fitness. I was a certified trainer. I was by no means a doctor, but I had enough kinesthetic awareness to be like, dude, the nurse was here 20 minutes ago and said I had a pulse in my leg and my toes are still pink. Like something is still
Connected.
firing in there.
Yes.
I didn't have gangrene. I mean, I had massive infection, but that was a separate situation. So, I said some choice words to myself and thanked him and got on the phone, started chanting, and
I love how you're telling us how you use the practice. I don't care what faith anybody is, they're all one thing, but it's just to show people how you use it in your life is important. So you get on the phone. What were you chanting for? To get an answer?
Chanting, like I was chanting for the absolute best place for my life at that moment, the right doctors.
Great.
I didn't still have a mental or emotional scope of the situation, but there was one nurse, Hillary, that was amazing, and I'm still in touch with her. And every once in a while, like Hillary, it was really bad, right? She goes, yeah, it was bad. So I just started I chanted because I was mad, and I was like, okay, each step along the way, I had everything I needed. So I got everyone I knew on the phone, including my father.
Right.
They could find me a second opinion because before they lop off my leg, and I also just couldn't comprehend it, which I think was my protection at that moment, because I think if I had known how severe the situation was and what was ahead of me, I'm not sure I would have made the choices I did, but that was my protection, right? So I did. My father got on the phone with my eye doctor, and he was the head of ophthalmology at Columbia Presbyterian at the time. He's not anymore. And he knew Dr. Spector, who was the head of trauma plastics at Weill Cornell, and he connected us. Was on the weekend. It was Sunday. And I called Spector's office at 7:30 Monday morning, always the director, like, get me the hell out of here. And because Weill Cornell, New York Presbyterian, William Randolph Hearst Burn Center deals with this level of thing all the time, he knew exactly what it was. He knew exactly what I needed. I was, I'm a control freak, right? I'm like, I'll even get the paperwork done. I don't care. I'll figure it out. Get me out of here. They're going to kill me. They're not managing my diabetes. I don't know what's going on. And they got me transferred.
So you really advocated for yourself. And then when you finally got to the right person, did they say, okay, this is the way we're going to do it? Because in the film, it says how you had to take a muscle from another part of your body to even reconstruct your leg. So you could be able.
They rebuilt my entire leg, literally, like piece by piece. I was in intensive care for 2 months. The first 5 weeks, I was having weekly surgery, part by part,
Right.
So, and these were not small procedures. So there was a lot that I found out way after the fact. In fact, in the post interviews we did, the hospital was gracious enough to let us film on the campus at New York Presbyterian on 68th Street. They were not convinced that it was all going to take. And these are the best trauma doctors in the world. Like, people fly from all over the world. There were 9 of them. So it was a tremendous effort on their part.
I want to impress upon everybody that in the movie, these doctors are really forthcoming. There's a few things I'm going to show you that Amy sent me. And, but for this documentary, they all say the same thing about you, which is that your attitude is really important in healing. And that yeah, exactly. Thank you. The way Amy reacted, because the whole thing of chanting is that enlightenment is available at any moment, not just the good moments, not the sad, suffering moments, not the traumatic, just any time. You don't have to die to find out if it works. It's a tool that works now. So you used your practice through the whole thing. And in the movie, they show you chanting. I want to talk before, and by the way, before we do anything, I really want to tell everybody, Cheetah Rivera was in that. Look at this picture of Amy with Cheetah.
We're
on
besties now.
On the open, is that at the movie premiere? Where is that?
No, that was the performance the night we honored her in 2017.
Unbelievable.
It's
And I want to say that,
amazing.
Cheetah Rivera in the movie, I'm not going to give away too much, comes to the opening night. Let's talk about what you did with this traumatic thing that could have destroyed you mentally as well as physically. What Amy did was form a company for what, Amy? Amy, look, I mean, the fact that you gave back to these kids and what you did, and then I'm going to show the clip from the movie. Please talk about the dance project that you founded and did and what you do there.
So the Victory Dance Project is a professional company currently on hiatus, although I did book my first master class here in Florida in January. Very excited about that. I love working with the youth. It was a mystic series of events because, I love what you said, because it wasn't that all wasn't hard, or that I wasn't depressed, or that I didn't just wish, the bus had like run over my head, or it was all of that. But this capacity that we have, even when I was like in bed and I couldn't get myself up to take a shower, I would just chant in the bed until I had enough life force in me to like get dressed. Like it was
Right.
a lot of that for a lot of
Yes,
years. Just
of course.
each thing was like, it was so much it was like 4 years of 20 surgeries.
Yeah.
Lung problems, cardiac problems. You hear Dr. Goops today, my precious cardiologist. So I was like, I'm done dancing. And then the stories in the book of how the whole first performance came to be. And it was another thing of like, I don't know how this is going to happen. But I kept, once the show was confirmed that we were doing it, I was like, holy crap. And I'm chanting, right? And like, there was another person in my Buddhist group who was on hiatus from Lion King. And he said, oh, I have this friend, Ricky, you should call him. Well, Ricky was free. Ricky danced in Fela. Ricky danced, it was just in West Side Story, Alonzo King Line, like this kid. I looked him up, and this was even pre where we are now with the iPhones. This is what, 2014. I was like, holy crap. And then, oh, you should call this friend, Chris Jackson. He was in the Albany LA American Dance Theater for 7 years. And you should call this person, Rosie Fiedelman. I'm sure you know all these people. Watching, In the Heights, and Jennifer and Lion King, and this one won So You Think You Can Dance France, and this one went to Juilliard, and one by one, like, I found myself in the room, literally, like, I remember one night we had a late rehearsal, and Grandma was in bed by 7, and we didn't start till 8, and I'd had to take a pain pill, and I was just standing there at the stereo, like, terrorized, like, oh my God, like, because they were all there for the finale, all the 14 of them. I was like, these are literally the best concert dancers on the planet. So,
And I have the audition. Can I play the little clip you sent me of the?
that was for the 17 show, yeah.
So here's this Amy's the Victory Dance Project, where Amy's going to create and co-choreograph, or did you?
Oh, I choreographed, and Gary Lewis, who you probably know, is my rehearsal genius director. If you're in the Broadway world, you're in dance, and you need, like, Gary has I'm good with the architecture, but Gary's got that gift to pull it all, Gary's
Right. So here are the kids that are going to do this, and it tells the story of Amy's whole life and what she did with it, kind of.
5, 6, 22, 17, 20, and 23.
I think we're really good. Okay.
So if we haven't called any of those numbers, you can go back over and get your things, okay? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, guys. It's super nice. It is so nice. It is so nice. I want to know what's past nice. What are you afraid of? What's past nice? If something happened to you today and you couldn't dance tomorrow, how would you dance right now? Go there.
Okay. Can we please have applause for that?
It was a moment of tension.
If something happened to you, little do they know that they're about to dance a dance that has, it's just unbelievable. You must get this movie. It does cost something to get it, but believe me, the rental or the buying of it is worth it. It's not much. Amazon Prime, please, Amy's Victory Dance. Now, Amy.
Leave a review. Please leave a review.
Leave a review. I'm about to leave a review too. Okay, so this is what I want to get to. So you've instilled these kids. They know what happened to you. They know what you did with it, which is create this company. Now they're going to tell a story through dance of this incredible thing. Plus, you put in there, let's talk about this. One of the dances is called Ceremony in the Air. Can you explain that to us, what that means to us as Buddhists?
So, as part of our Buddhist practice, we recite a chapter and a half of the actual Lotus Sutra, which we call Gongyo or assiduous practice. And for not Buddhists, the Lotus Sutra seeds and blooms at the same time. So it represents...
You mean the lotus, not the Lotus Sutra.
The lotus flower, thank you. So it represents this idea of cause and effect. Everything we do is a cause, thought, word, and deed, ouch. Everything will get an effect either now or later. So we're never a victim of circumstance. There's never any blaming. Don't watch the news. Like, everything in our environment is a reflection of us. So if we want something to change, it's strict, but amazing. So this idea came up of my dancing, which is reflected in the film, which I won't go into because of...
It's okay.
It was a thing. And so then this was all very organic. And then someone said, wow, that would be amazing. Gongyo is this beautiful, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's Sanskrit translated into, no, that's on the Gohanzen. It's not English. So
it's like Japanese Sanskrit.
Sanskrit.
Yeah.
They recite every morning and evening. Now it takes about 3 minutes. In the old days, it was a whole much longer situation. So, again, I had everything that I needed. My friend David Shenton, I don't know if you know David, protege. This guy plays piano and violin at the same time. I mean,
unbelievable in this movie. The music that he wrote for this.
One of my favorite scenes. He actually did the score for the whole film because all the music in the performance was commercial and it would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars. And Brian's smart. So we sent David the film. We went in the studio and he scored the whole. So now it has its original score. It's copywritten. It's at the Library of Congress. He won awards in the festivals for best score. Like, we don't have to worry about the licensing. I mean, Brian is a genius,
right.
Details, because we came up against things like that. So Ceremony in the Air is this ceremony in the Lotus Sutra where the treasure tower rises up and the bodhisattvas of the earth emerge dancing. Now, we're all bodhisattvas, right? Everyone has Buddhahood. Everyone has
a Buddha nature, yeah.
Buddha nature. Everyone. It's whether we can pull that out of our lives, which we do through chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. So when this came up, and then David was in town, which was amazing. We did that in like 3 hours. I mean, we went in, we told him what we wanted. It's one of my favorite scenes in the film, the way it's cut. I mean, it is so beautifully done. And I said, we're going to call it ceremony in the air because it's gongyo. It's the actual recitation of the sutra that we set to this score of literally emerging from the earth dancing. So
this is why I love it, because they show you in the studio doing gongyo. And this, I just dealt with this with Tina Turner on Broadway, where I had to like make sure that pronunciation was right with Adrian Warren and all this. But you are doing gongyo in the recording studio and the music's around you. It is so beautiful. I got to tell you, that was my favorite part of the movie too.
And they tricked me. We thought that was a practice. And
it was
one
running.
take. It was one take. I'm a one take wonder. And then I was like, wait, what? I actually wanted to do it again because I was like, they're like, no, we got it.
It was perfect. And here's what I love next. Now you're doing these pre-prep for the show, everything's going on. And then at one point, you're having these physical problems and going to the doctor because you're experiencing.
My body broke down.
Yeah. And then they say to you, Amy, in order for this to be really effective, you're going to have to dance. You're going to have to dance. And this is the part of the film that I love too, which you sent me a clip of. Watch this.
Amy's going to have to dance if she wants to bring awareness to victory. She's going to have to get on stage and show the world what she can do.
I had really stopped dancing even before the bus. It's terrifying. I don't see well. I am not agile. I'm surrounded by these amazing world-class concert dancers that can do anything, and I don't really know what my body can do. But like everything, I'll figure it out, and it will be a testament to my doctors and my dad, and to prove the mission of the company that anything is possible.
The mission of the company is anything is possible.
Actually, to make the impossible possible with the power movement.
So, this documentary, to me, the reason it's so beautiful, there's humor in it. We're not there, wallowing and stuff. You're very clear when you're in pain. There's one point in the movie where you say to one of the doctors, I'm done. I can't remember that. Can you tell us about, you've had these through it all. It's such a great thing to call it Amy's victory dance. I'll never forget Cheetah in that, seeing the dress rehearsal and going, forget about the bus, Amy. It's great that you did that. It's terrible, but you were meant to be here to inspire us all. Cheetah Rivera saying that. I mean, it was just amazing. How did you feel it when one of your icons was there representing this company, and giving feedback?
I was horrified. And there's a whole backstory to even getting her at the rehearsal, what we had to go through. I made it a surprise because I wanted the dancers to not prepare and it was a whole thing. She got there early, of course, because she's a super pro. And I was like, oh my God, what's she going to say? And when the music went down, there were just a handful of people in the room, and the first piece came up, and I heard her say, who choreographed this? Amy, did you from in the audience, right? Like 10 people in there. My dad, a couple friends, a tech crew, whatever. I said, I did. She said, wow. And I was just like, there was so much going on, just, producing. I was producing. I was choreographing. I was performing. I was in pain. I was the money and the promote and getting people in the seats in New York. And
it was
so much. I watched that film and I'm like, never again. Do one job. I did 10 jobs. And so, and I almost couldn't take it in, the scope of it. And Cheetah and I are still very close. And or connected or whatever you want to call it. I'm in touch with Rosie and all of them on a consistent basis. And she was so gracious. I mean, such class, something we see less and less of. Just talent and grace and giving and showing up. And I couldn't even absorb it because there was so much else going on. And I go back and look at it. I was trying to find the little clip, but it's still mine. And I'm like, okay, I need to get back to this, because if Chita Rivera is saying this, like, she's a goddess. She's a Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Kennedy Honors, every drama, multiple Tonys, multiple everything. She's still performing. I think she's turning 90 next month. And she was in California doing her show. Like, I talk about, not complaining. Holy crap.
I know. And, the fact that you see in the film how genuinely blown away she is at the fact. And at the end, when you finally do dance, after they show you going back and forth in terrible pain, all these, not knowing if you're going to be able to dance and not knowing even what your body will do for you at this point. I have to tell you, I had like full body goosebumps. Really, I did. It was amazing. But in it, I also wrote down some incredible things you said and some incredible shots. One of them is you have a miniature New York City bus right near your altar. Why do you have that bus there? Is that a way of lightening the situation up? I mean,
so when I was in intensive care on the burn unit in 2009, my co-district leader, the SGI is organized by in pre-COVID by neighborhood, and we would meet. So it was easy to get places, especially in New York. It was like a few block radius. We go to someone's home, we chant together and encourage each other. There's no church.
We have our own altar with a mandala.
It's all self-directed. And so because I don't have any family and I'm perpetually single, which is something I must transform, I called Nathan because I didn't know who to call, and he came to emergency with another close SGI friend. And so when it was my 40th birthday on the burn unit, and Nathan was a famous soap opera actor back in the day, so all the ladies in the hospital were recognizing him, and they wheel me into emergency, and he's like, that Amy Jordan, she'll do anything for attention. Oh, Nathan, it's not that bad. I was hallucinating. So Nathan shows up on my birthday in the burn unit, and I'm like, drugged out. And he says, I got you something.
Oh my God.
And I'm having all sort of sense of humor. And if you don't like it or it bothers you, I understand. But I thought it was funny, and I opened it up, and there was a little New York City bus, and it said Union Square, which is where the SGI Culture Center is. Deborah, I laughed until I cried.
It was so funny.
I still have it. It's in New York. I'm in Florida, but
I mean, that was nobody even says anything about it. The whole scene is not focused on it. But if you guys watch the movie, you'll see she's chanting and everything. And I'm going, is that a miniature bus?
Brian thinks it's funny too. So
I think it's great. And there's another thing you say. There's a couple of funny things you say. One of the things that you say is they're asking you your medical history, and you're going, oh my God. Oh my God. She goes, I'm just going to write hot mess. It's like,
we give you like 4 little lines, and I went through that recently. It's a whole other situation right now because it never ends. And I was like, look at the damn chart. I can't with this. And
your doctors
in my doctor's office, and Dr. Ronowell, the nurse was trying. He said, no, don't worry. I know him. Don't even. She said, no, but he says, no, I know the situation.
And you trying to raise money through all this for the company. That's the other thing. You were a fundraiser. You had to dance. You had to choreograph. and there's other funny
Hired a
things.
sponsor director, and she like went AWOL. I just don't understand these people. Like, did nothing.
Okay, I need to tell you one of the funny things. Some of these things, for your brain to be in this positive place, like your smile in the film, every time you smile when you say something like defeating, makes me really happy. One of the things that happened is your apartment got flooded. I mean, come on. This is like, okay, so everything's happening in your life. Now your apartment gets flooded and you have to move out. And
I had to go to a hotel, and I called Brian and I said, because Brian was like, if there's anything, just call me. And I said, you're never going to believe this. I don't know what you're doing, but this is just.
It's such a perfect documentary fodder, but it's your life.
That really happened. Like, I really had to go to a hotel, and I really, they had to redo the baseboards, and I don't know, the pipe burst above me or something. I don't remember. It was a Friday night, and they were all in there, that's a true story. It was not planned. I was like, seriously? It's like the middle of winter. It was like the end of January. It was freezing.
I know. And I love that in the next scene is you in the cab and you're holding the Gohanzen rolled up. Let me explain to people what this is. We have a mandala that we chant in front of. It's an open-eyed practice. We're not trying to get rid of desire. What we're doing is our earthly desires equal our enlightenment. So we have this mandala. It's called a Gohanzen, right? And we're not chanting to it. It's inside ourselves, but it's like an environment for us to chant. And she's sitting there in the cab. I can see it's in a box because I know what it is. Do you remember that scene where it's rolled up?
I don't remember holding.
Oh, you got to see it. It's like you're holding onto the box. You took your altar with you. The other thing is that you said...
I didn't know what was happening. I couldn't ruin my Gohanzen, so
I know. And here's what you say. And we never think like this, everybody. We don't think like this. After her accident, she said, I used to love... It starts out the movie. I used to love to wear strappy, high heels.
That's not accurate yet.
And I know. And then you said, now I buy clothes to match my sneakers. But you say it in a way that's not like, now I buy clothes to match my sneakers. You know what I mean? And you go to these really cool boutiques to
Shishi, they're my friends. Go there. 92nd and Broadway. Go there. She's amazing. Yael and Ori. I love them. They dress me for everything.
They were dressing her to match her sneakers because that's what she has to wear in the streets of New York. That's why I'm glad you're in Florida now, because you don't have to walk all over the place. Yeah, anyway, so I wanted to also say that you carry with you. Now tell me what this does, because it was so curious to me. You say, I always take everywhere I go my neurological ball.
Oh, yeah, that was a random shot. I was working at the time, because I have one eye and because I had 3 years of basically solid I have 3 rounds of IV antibiotics with a PICC line, plus what I had in the hospital. Plus, I was basically on antibiotics for 4 years because I had this horrible bacterial infection, which happens when all your tissues expose like that. And so what happens with that, and I'm not a doctor, but what happens is that it affects your visual vestibular balance. And I'm already have what they call a sensory mismatch because of the eye. So I had gotten connected to this amazing trainer, Mike Kalajian, who's still at the JCC. And I'm not as good as I could be.
Right.
Do these visual exercises so when I'm traveling, and one of them is to write the letters on the ball and move it. And so I have this little ball. I was going somewhere and I was writing the letters. I would keep it. I have all these little things I can take with me when I travel. I need to do it more, but it helps your brain kind of refocus when you have all this.
Yeah. There's stuff going on.
And the effect, one of the effects of that much antibiotic is it really jacks out your vestibular your canals, which people don't realize. So they get off these drugs, and I'm like, well, of course you feel like that because it's so for that much antibiotic, I'll be detoxing the rest of my life.
And then there's a funny scene where you're laughing, you're waiting for your appointment, and I don't know who it was that is saying to you, okay, you don't have any peripheral vision, so like follow my hand. Can you see my hand now? And you go, no. And it's like I know this sounds crazy, but it's funny. Like there's
funny. Like, I don't know. What am I, I mean, the shoe thing still makes me sad, but I can't do anything about it. So
look, everybody in the audience, I'm probably sure, if you want to say something to Amy, there's 2 little white lines on the lower left of your screen. Hit those and hit that you want to ask to speak, or you can hit the little plus on the stage. And if you'd like to come up and say anything to Amy, we have 15 minutes left while I'm talking to her, and I will accept you up there. The other thing was you were addicted to Scandal on Thursday nights.
Scandal. Tony Goldwyn, he's my celebrity crush. It got
Through the
really
whole
campy
movie.
at the end, but boy, Thursdays at 9:00 was a non-negotiable for me, and it was ending, and I was like, there's so few things that I find like guilty pleasures. I don't eat bad food, I don't have any vices, I don't smoke, I don't drink, but a Scandal.
And it's so funny.
Not negotiable.
Because now we don't think of it like that. We'll just tape it. We'll do this. But you really had it in your brain Thursday nights.
No taping. It was Thursdays at 9.
I know.
Don't call me. Don't message me. I don't want to hear about it. So when we went to see Cheetah, I was like, this is a big deal.
Okay. This is a big traumatic event, and it happened during your practice of Buddhism. So you had a way to put it into a framework, even at your lowest moments, because you know that this worked for you. Can you tell us how you came to Buddhism? I think your friend Janet introduced you. Mm-hmm. Like, what was going on in your life when you started chanting that gave you this foundation for this happening to you?
I was in Los Angeles in the 90s. I moved there and I was in New York. Was going to Hunter College and I did a geographic. I thought I want to be famous. I'm going to go to LA. I got connected to dancers there and I thought, oh, LA, woohoo. And I just went there. No plan. Don't do this at home. Don't do that. And so I had been on this search. I was born Jewish, but I didn't like the way people treated each other. I didn't like the way they had to pay for the best seats.
Me too.
I didn't like the way the community was. I didn't understand I had the bat mitzvah. Honestly, I sang the songs
I did wrong. Too. I had my bat mitzvah.
I sang the songs wrong because I never learned them. And the elders were like, and I didn't give a crap, and I didn't want to be at the party because I'm not like a showgirl and I wear this dumb poofy dress, and it was like for my family. It was like a social event. It had nothing to do with me. The whole thing at 13 was like, really, can I go home? So I was on a search in LA, and I had gone to all these different things, and Agape with Reverend Michael Beckwith, which felt very pretentious and not real. And I was recovering from an eating disorder and doing a lot of 12-step. But then I was like, I've been coming here a long time and I'm hearing the same stories. Like, people are not, look, if you have addiction, I have addiction. There's no right or wrong. And if that is what works for you, then go.
Yes, I know you went to rehab.
For me, it sort of started to backfire and I needed something else. And so I had this was also at the time where I had lost the vision. I had to come to terms with the fact that I was never going to have a commercial career. I couldn't see, I couldn't do all that. I was very overweight, and I met Janet, my friend Janet. The SGI headquarters for America is in Santa Monica. And I was
SGI, we should explain, is Soka Gakkai International, which means Value Creating Society. It's a form of Buddhism that happened from Nichiren Daishonin in the 12th century Japan. Go ahead. I just wanted
And
to
the
say that.
organization is not, there's no priest, there's no hierarchy. There's a
Right.
lot of people that practice. We support each other. That's it. There's no one's better. You don't have to go through any. You can't even contribute for like your first year. I mean, it's so everybody's equal, right? We all have Buddha
Yeah.
nature. So that attracted to me. And I met Janet in the gym, and I had been taking these little gym hip hop classes, and she was a dancer, and she was like, "You're a dancer," and I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm blind. I can't." But we became chummy, and she was cool, and she got me. So finally, she said, "Hey, like, it was right around the time of the What's Love Got to Do with It when that
Right.
came out. So thank you, Tina, for introducing me. And so she said, this movie, and why don't you come over? And I thought she was cool. She wasn't pushy. And I was like, wow. And it was also at the time, the SGI part of the organization it's a peace movement based on the
Right.
sharing of this philosophy. It's a life philosophy. I don't like that word religion. It tips people off, including me. And culture.
Yeah, I think of it as a practice too, like a practice,
it's
like a
practice.
philosophy.
Like you
Yeah.
have to practice to learn piano. You practice like
You practice Buddhism.
you want to get fit, you have to go to the gym. So it's actions, cause and effect, right? So, but also this idea of creating peace through culture, education, dialogue. So
Right.
they were putting on this huge Victory Over Violence festival. I was a dancer, kind of arrogant, mad that and I was like, oh, wow, the SGI at Pasadena Civic Auditorium and the sports arena, they're not playing around. I felt very like, so that was part of my hook. I got involved with dance crew. I don't know if you know the LA people, Dewana Mac, and anyway.
I received my Gohansen. I started my Buddhist practice in LA.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you know the
1987.
Yeah, 1999. I received my Gohanzen at Pico in Santa Monica. And so, the thing about this practice, and I always tell people when they're starting, look, don't believe me.
Just do it.
chant.
Yeah.
Do it every day for 5 minutes in the morning, in the evening. If you can't find 5 minutes, I don't know what to tell you. Be consistent for 2 weeks and come back to me, because something
will happen,
or something. You'll feel something. It's have your own experience. Don't believe our faith is not, as you know, built on anyone, you're this, you're born that, you're born. Okay, but what is faith? Like, oh, I go to my religious house, but I'm like, when the stuff comes down the pipes, do you have faith? Do you believe in people? Are we able to face our lives and do whatever? Don't get me started. So
no, I know. You don't have to believe it to chant it. That's what I loved about it.
Herbie Hancock is a longtime member, and he wrote in his book when Buster Williams introduced him to the practice, the bassist, famous jazz musician. And Buster said, I'll never forget when I read this, Buster said to Herbie, you don't have to believe it or not. It doesn't matter. It's the law, like the law of gravity. It doesn't matter if you believe it. If you jump off my 20-story window,
you're going to fall.
You're going to land on the ground, probably dead. So it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if you believe. He told this to Herbie, like, it doesn't matter this is the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction. This is it. Nam-myo Renge Kyo is it. So when you as a scientific principle, when you start to engage it, like jumping out the window, the gravity is going to pull you down. So I read that in the book, and I was like, because Herbie didn't take to it. It was like, yeah, whatever, initially so or something. I don't remember.
I listened to that book, that audio book, Herbie Hancock's book. It's so good.
It's a good book.
So look, you just told us this incredible thing. Then you started chanting. And so you develop faith. Like in our practice, Eastern religion is always do and see. Western is you must believe. And that's what I loved about Eastern, because I just started chanting and saw what would happen in my life, And
I never, and to this day, I don't, and this is me, it's not meant to be, offensive or derogatory in any way. I never understood this higher you know,
It's inner for me, yeah. God, whatever they call God or higher
Jesus
power,
was
yeah.
a man. We can follow his teachings. I
Right.
think he would roll over in his grave today, but I don't know.
Okay, so look,
Yeah.
this is what I want to get to in the last 5 minutes of this talk. Now you have this foundation of Buddhism. Your go-to default as a New York City bus is on your leg, okay, is to chant. Like you had the wherewithal. I think that's from the repetition and the fact that we chant every day. You know, it's just
And
incredible
study.
that what?
And study.
And study about it. Yes, we just don't chant blindly. We study about Buddhism, right? You know, and it reminds me of the original Buddha, you know, Siddhartha, if people read Siddhartha or Shakyamuni Buddha, whatever you call, who woke up under the Bodhi tree and said, oh, my enlightenment is that I'm already enlightened. I am. I just got to wake up to it. So do you think, and this is a rough question, do you think that this bus that ran over you was a wake-up call in some way for you for the rest of your life?
Absolutely. And it created a whole new mission. You know, I was in had a lot of things I needed to face at that time. And
because people say to me, I don't believe in God because who would make a bus run over a person? And what I want them to hear is the Buddhist perspective. Oh, how could God do this to kids? How could, you know, it's very hard to talk about karma.
That's an external thing. And this is, I knew in that moment that, again, I was studying, there's this idea of karmic retribution from our lives past. And the idea of karma is skewed, and it means habit or action. Our actions generate our karma, good or bad.
Right.
And there isn't just, and so I knew in that moment, I didn't understand what, but I thought, whoa, like that writing that we study, lessening your karmic retribution, you know, and I share that we're never a victim of circumstance. Things are gonna happen. This is what I love about the SGI and this practice. It doesn't mean that life is going to be kumbaya all that. Like, I'm still single. I'm dealing right now with a tremendously difficult physical situation after 14 years of compensating. I had 2 MRIs in 8 days. It's been a whole thing. I had a meltdown because I'm a human, and it was just I didn't know. I was freaked out. But okay. And then I thought, this is, also, there's a lot of things coming down the pipes next year that are very exciting that I can't talk about yet. And with all good comes equal opposition. So with this practice, there's no, you know, it's what are we going to do with it? Life still happens, and having the tool to chant to feel better, then your reactions change.
Yeah.
Was I like a raving, not happy person a few days ago, trying to manage all this pain?
But the concept of the 10 worlds, like the worlds are within worlds, and enlightenment is in all of them. And it's now, and you just got to wake up and pull it out. At that moment, you're a human being, of course, but in that human moment contains Buddhahood.
And good can be created out of anything.
Yeah.
So, and that's planted in us. You know, we're never a victim of circumstance. And we also have to show the power of this law. And we do that by facing these kinds of obstacles and saying, and I'm still doing that. I'm still single. That one is bad.
I can hear that's something karmic that you really want to get and change that
the
now.
One thing I get very well is me about that one because I'm just tired. I mean, I have Sadie. She's over there sleeping.
We got Sadie the cat. Well, I want to say everybody look at Sadie. I do want to say, first of all, thank you for coming here and talking with us. Second of all, please, if you haven't rented or watched Amy's Victory Dance, which won all these festivals, please, yes, thank you for clapping. Can we give Amy just a big round of applause for coming and showing up today in spite of every obstacle. And I really, really
I have
want you.
first world obstacles now. This is what happens when you chant long enough. You have first world obstacles as opposed to not.
That's right. So I want to say, Amy, please, Amy's Victory Dance, dance because you can. We'll be back for Barsha next week, but this was episode 37, The Broadway Buddhist with Amy Jordan. Amy, thank you so much.